Okay, I'm here with Dr. Bonnie Dunbar, former astronaut, and now the CEO and director of the Seattle Museum of Flight.
Right.
I'd just like to ask, I guess, your thoughts about the conference. How's it going so far?
Oh, I think it's a great conference, and I'm trying not to be biased because I helped to co-chair one of the plenary sessions. But we have a very good attendance this year, a lot of interest in space, a lot of interest in the technologies. Of course, this is space technologies and applications. I think good debate about the paths to get there, an understanding now that there's a consensus from the administration and Congress that this nation is committed to human exploration into space, back to the moon and Mars. And now it's just a matter of making sure we have the resources in place to do it. And you'll find that every speaker here has talked about the human part of it, the people part of it, the workforce issues, because unless we can get more young people into science, engineering, math, we're not going to be able to go to the moon.
Yeah, Nick Cook had suggested the average age, I guess, of the engineers now is 55 years old in the aerospace and in NASA's industries.
Absolutely, they are a little older in some cases. And what we're finding is a declining interest in going into engineering, math, physics, and chemistry on the part of young people. And what that is, it's kind of a recipe for disaster for this nation in terms of not only the quality of life, but our leadership positions in the future.
Oh, sure. Well, one of the things... One of the things that I've noticed was that, despite NASA's change of focus back to the heritage technologies, it seems like the Section F is bigger than ever. So do you think that's kind of marking a trend, I guess?
What is?
Oh, Section F, kind of the frontier technologies, the more obscure...
Oh, I guess I'm not familiar with the terminology, Section F.
Oh, yeah, that's, for lack of a better word, the anti-gravity, breakthrough, propulsion, warp drive stuff, so...
Okay, I didn't know that was how to call it. I don't know. I have not in myself read the ESAS report yet. I hope to get a chance to do that. I know it's online, so that's probably where I'll read it from. I think that it was interesting to hear them talk about the lack of investment in advanced technologies being budget driven. And at the same time, I know that in the President's State of the Union address, he talked about the need to put money into basic research and R&D and how that will be done in the next few years. But we need the resources to do it. So I'm cautiously optimistic that we've identified the problem, and now we need to make certain that we put our energy into the solutions.
Well, if it's okay to ask about the museum itself, one of the things that I've been learning about lately is some of the multimedia capabilities. As our country moves more and more to broadband communications, it becomes more easy to stream out. Like we're doing Windows Media, we're actually launching probably a TV talk show.
Yes.
But I've wondered if the museum has thought about doing more of that in the future.
Well, absolutely. Our challenge being a private museum is that I raise money for every project. So it's convincing donors and industry that this is a good thing to do. We do want to upgrade both our website and to be able to do streaming media. We want to be able to deliver our education out remotely and distance learning. Absolutely. And so if I can find people interested in helping me fund that over this next year, it will happen. There's another way to do that, and that's to get more people to come to the museum, and so you're helping me here right now.
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, we finished our statistics. We have about 1 million people last year, and we have 25 to 50% growth every year. So,
really? Well, thank you.
So it's definitely a growing interest area. But, the other thing is the company that I'm working with is the Open Source Energy Network. We've kind of partnered up for our TV thing, and it looks like we have a fair amount of just kind of free bandwidth. So that might be another possibility for collaborative projects.
Yeah, you have my email, but let me give this to you again. It has my phone number on it. Any way that you can help us, particularly if there's any kind of pro bono support as we build our website, or even if there's freeware out there, free capability, or being a 501c3, if we can get some in-kind from one of the delivers. Say, look, this is for education. It was our investment in R&D during Apollo that probably gave you the technology to do your business case now. We need to invest back into the younger generation. Oh,
absolutely. The 501c3 in some ways has, one of the difficulties we noticed, because we're also nonprofit, was we ended up competing with a lot of social causes for funding, and that made it really difficult. And in a way, it's like you don't want to take funding away from the crisis centers and things like that. But but at the same time, space is such a necessity for our future.
Well, one of the arguments I make is that, a lot of the social causes are due to, either employment or learning or education issues, and we're trying to nip that in the bud by making that an upfront investment in education and high-tech careers in the future.
Oh, okay.
More of our population could move in that direction. We're technically articulate and educated, then maybe the social end of it wouldn't have as much strain.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks again for your time.
You're welcome.